What's up, everybody? This is Jamey Jasta from Hatebreed, and you're watching Loudwire.
Was there any inspiration for this record from today's political climate, rather more like the election, I guess I could say?
Yeah, for sure, but it's almost how it relates to the music industry in a way, because now in the music industry you're seeing like there's less and less of the middle class kind of working class rockers like me, and there's more of like the have nothings and the have everythings. You know, it's interesting, I guess, the parallels where you see some candidates, you know, they are talking about the middle class. They are talking about the poor and the people that are, you know, struggling, and then others are, you know, I say right now, especially if you're interested in politics, because when you're in a band, you go outside the country, everybody's interested in American politics. Every interview is about that.
I used to live in Australia, so I know what that's like.
And their system is kind of similar, and they go through a lot of the similar stuff. And so I thought, you know what, it's okay to infuse a little bit. It's not in a divisive manner, because no matter what side you sit on, and I do tell people, if you're interested, go to isidewith.com, and you'll see. You can put in the issues that are important to you, and you can see. You'd be surprised.
Have you been overseas touring since the current election cycle has kind of happened?
No, but I've been doing a lot of press, and it comes up almost in every interview, you know, what candidate are you for? And they're just more open and out and about it, whereas when I was a kid, it was like, there was more of this kind of trade-off, like, all right, well, the Republicans are going to run it for this 4 years or maybe 8 years, and now the Democrats are going to run it. It seemed like more of a trade-off.
It was a real pendulum that kept on going.
Yeah, and so, but I never understood it. I was always like, well, why is it boiling down to two parties? Like, I understand the Constitution, I understand how important it is to uphold so much stuff in it, but did they really know about that we're going to have all this science and all this technology and all these things that are, you know, coming into play now that could really help in certain situations that certain people, you know, we could go down the rabbit hole. We could talk about stem cells. We could talk about all this stuff. And it, you know, it just makes you think, like, maybe there should be other parties getting represented by the media that aren't, because they don't have the money to pay for the ads. They don't have the support because they're not getting the exposure, and they're not getting the coverage. But, you know, because there was a candidate, Jill Stein, who I thought had some good things to say. She was from the Green Party. I said that in a couple interviews. I got people calling me a hippie and this and that. It's like, look, I'm just thinking, like, at some point, we are going to have to try to do something about the environment. I know there's a lot of people with the blinders on, and I get it. Everybody's got a ton of other issues to deal with. But you got to make your priorities, and, you know, one of them should be the environment. Look at what's happening in Flint. I mean, these people should go to jail. These kids are getting sick and dying. I mean, that's the environment. That's the water. I mean, it's all, you know, it's. You think that would never, could that happen? Yeah, it could happen in other places. It probably is happening in other places, and then we're going to start seeing it.
Yeah, it's horrible how the environment gets politicized. It's like if you're a part of this party, you have to be like, no progress, and then this one, it's like, we have to completely get rid of oil. Like, it's so bizarre. I feel like there should be a science party. The science party should be somewhere in the middle there, and you should listen to the science party, but instead it's like, let's listen to science from the politicians instead of the scientists.
Let's listen to people who are smarter than us.
Yes.
And let's trust kind of, you know, what is going on. No, it's interesting, because, yeah, that's another thing I bring up. It's like, yeah, look, the Constitution, great, uphold it, I understand. But did they know about all this science and all this technology? No. And now it's there, so you have to have a civil discussion and not all this divisive rhetoric.
Yeah, absolutely. The weird thing about the current election is that as it's gone on, it's gotten weirder and crazier. It almost made me think, do you almost wish that you had waited a little bit longer to write the album, so you would have been more pissed off and had even more, maybe some more stuff to write about?
I'm not sure, because, you know, we had, metal and hardcore has had success under both parties, both administrations, right? I mean, in the 80s with the Reagan, and then with George Sr. and with George Jr., George W., metal was big, hardcore was big. People were pissed. There was a lot of issues at the forefront that were being sang about in songs, and there was a lot of people that I think, you know, their art benefited.
Absolutely.
Look at someone like Al Jorgensen. You know, he made like whole albums.
Man.
Yeah, you know, and so, right, so it depends. I mean, it's really just 2 songs on this album. The rest of it is different stuff, violence, and yeah, there's corruption, there's greed, and there's topics that are addressed on this record. There's environment stuff, but then, you know, there's also personal songs like Looking Down the Barrel of Today or Walking the Knife, which is kind of another take on some addiction stuff. But yeah, if we had waited, maybe I would have changed some of the lyrical content. But there was so much stuff happening, you know, between Paris and the attacks, and you know, there was other stuff that really was upsetting that, you know, lent, you know, some brutality toward, you know, into this album.
Yeah, and not just the Paris attacks, too, just the constant attacks. Like, one thing a lot of people, I think, forget is that the greatest victims of ISIS are Muslims themselves in the Middle East.
Yeah.
So, and unfortunately, that's not something that gets, as you're talking about, the media doesn't get the coverage. I mean, that always, of course, Paris was awful, but Paris is happening like every week in other places too.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And you know, you're talking to I go play Muslim countries.
Yeah.
For, you know, so many peaceful, awesome, amazing people that love metal and hardcore music, and you know, what we're doing, you know, they feel is not infringing on their beliefs and is not infringing on their well-being or anything like that. They love it, and we want to keep that line of communication open, and we want to keep learning about other cultures and being accepting, and we want to smash racism and get rid of all these again, this divisiveness that just it hurts what we're trying to do. I get it for people who are in middle America, they might be ignorant to what's really happening, or they might be isolated in their community. I get it. I think everybody knows somebody who's a little ignorant. Maybe they're a little older, maybe they're a little old-fashioned, whatever. But you know, it's your job as a forward-thinking person to dispel, you know, a lot of these myths that are out there.